Pyment, 1 year later. So what is a Pyment? Pyment is basically it's mead that's fermented with grapes. Now the important part there is the fermented with, okay? If you just make mead and then you add grape juice, it's technically not a Pyment, but I hate the whole technical thing. However, it's important because if we just start calling things that they aren't, we end up with things like the Bunrati mead with an E. That isn't mead. But anyway, this is actual Pyment. We made it with our grapes that grew in our backyard and honey. I don't know which honey, and we don't check on purpose because that way we don't go back and have bias as to what this tasted like.
But if you are interested in the process of making this Pyment, check the links in the description below and we'll have the full series listed there for you.
By all means. Like, if this is something that interests you, go back and watch that. All good. However, this is just one version of this. We actually plan to do another one soon-ish, sort of, kind of, but you'll just have to wait for that.
It's on the list.
Yeah. But anyway, in its essence, a Pyment is just that. It's kind of a cross between wine and mead, okay? It's a wine sweetened with honey for fermentation, but it must be mostly honey. So there's, all those rules, whatever. But anyway, this one was bottled on 6/29/20, which means more than a year ago, because it's, we're into almost August now. So yeah. Yeah, this is 13 months plus whatever time it's spent being made. So it's closer to a year and a half probably. So I'm actually kind of hoping this is good. My recollection of this was it wasn't bad last time we tried it. I don't remember.
My recollection is that it wasn't bad, but it wasn't exciting.
It was a little disappointing is what I remember. But it wasn't bad. Like it didn't taste bad or anything like that. It wasn't harsh but it just didn't really have... Seals are a thing. You got to be careful with these things. They pop off. That just shows you it's been sitting for a year. We haven't touched it. And I'm going to pour the ladies first. It's got a beautiful color. And now, the pour cam. So as I said, the color is beautiful. This is crystal clear, not a hint of haze or clarity issues at all.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you can't see it in the bottle, in the glass, this is crystal clear.
Beautiful. One thing I want to point out is because we poured and then stopped and then poured and we stopped so we could give you the pour cam.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of sediment in here and it got a little wispy from the tilting. That is actually pretty common in home brews because we have adopted the 2-rack rule. I don't recall if Pyment was before or after the 2-rack.
No, it should have been after.
But even then...
There's constantly tannins and proteins coming out of solution. If you look at like really old bottles of wine, they almost always have something at the bottom of them, even commercial stuff. Yeah. Because it's constantly evolving. That's what aging is.
So if you find that to be the case for your home brew, do not think out. Don't think it's ruined. Please don't dump it.
It's perfectly fine.
And don't shoot yourself because...
so normal. It's part of the game. On the smell, wow, this is just, it's really nice. It's very aromatic. Lots of honey character on the smell.
It's very honey.
Very honey. Much more than I don't remember this being that honey. A little bit of fruit. Like berry fruit, which grapes are technically a berry, I think.
It's interesting because it doesn't have the scent of fermented honey that I normally get.
It smells like raw honey.
It smells like raw honey.
Well, no, I smell the alcohol too. I get a little bit.
But in comparison to other ones, I'm getting more...
13.5%.
Yeah.
So it's not...
It's good. I think what is actually occurring and is tricking the senses is the combination of the fruit notes from the grape with the honey is umping the honey experience. Which is really interesting.
Well, this was also made with our grapes, and we may not have used as many as we probably should have. That is a possibility. Sure. That's why it's not red in color. Usually Pyments are red. This is like an amber.
Right. Quick note for those of you that are interested in wine and may not know the difference between red wine and white wine. It's not that it's made from red grapes or white grapes. It's that red wine includes the skins,
And seeds.
the seeds,
Pomace,
sometimes even the stems.
Yep.
Lots of the Pinot Noirs, they just put stem and everything in there.
Yeah.
Where white, they don't. They keep all that stuff out.
As a matter of fact, they sometimes use the pomace from white winemaking to add to red winemaking to bolster it that much more.
Yeah.
So, fun little facts about winemaking. I'm ready for a short sip on this. This smell, it's just incredible. I'm getting even just like the tiniest hint of a spice in there, like a cinnamon almost.
I'm getting visions of pancakes. I'm
Oh,
like, this is a breakfast meat.
Amazing. You ready for the short sip? Now, the short sip is just to acclimate your palate, okay? We should probably call it the quick sip because you're just taking a sip, a normal size sip, and just swallowing it really quickly. It's just to let it get in your mouth, coat things up, and gives you an impression of what it tastes like, but it also just acclimates you to the alcohol and the flavors. Here we go. First impressions, that is lovely.
It is so much better than what my memories of it were. Like, infinitely so. I'm really excited by this.
Yeah. This is sweet. I would say this is probably like in a 10-20 range for sweetness, which means it's probably very sweet to some people. To me, it's sweet, but I think the acids and tannins from the grapes are cutting that down.
Oh, yeah.
I did get some tannin and acidic quality.
I got plenty of acidic, almost to the point that it was reading kind of citrusy.
Yeah, it definitely does. It reads lemony almost. We may have put some lemon in this. I don't know. Somebody will tell me in the comments. And it's fine. You know, that's why we don't watch those ahead of time. So we don't really know what's in here. She's doing her long sip already. Or just taking another short. The long sip is where you put it in your mouth, you run it around a little bit, and you really get a taste for what's in this. You get to explore it more. And because you did a short sip or a quick sip first, you really aren't assaulted by the ethanol so much. You can get more of the flavors out. So let me do mine.
Now, what I'm getting from it up front is it's this interesting trick of the palate where, because it is pretty honey forward, it's coming off a lot more deep and mouthfeel than the actual physical essence of the beverage. The physical essence of the beverage is actually quite clean and refreshing. So it's interesting having these two things where it feels like it's really thick and viscous.
You'd think it should be thick, but
by the flavor profile, but the actual texture is light and crisp and clean.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. Because if you want that thick sensation, but you live in Florida and it's hot and annoying, this is perfect because you get both. You get the nice, clean, refreshing, but you still get that.
Now, we always taste at room temperature because we feel that that's where you get the most flavors out of it. It may not be the best flavors for that particular brew, but that's how you can explore the flavors the most.
This particular one, I don't think I'd want to.
Nope. This is beautiful the way it is. What I get from this is a floral note, and that might be coming from the honey. It could be wildflower honey of some type or a clover honey that could be giving that. It also seems to have citrus, which makes me think maybe it's orange blossom honey, because that would have floral and citrus at the same time. So it's possible this might be an orange blossom honey. It's coming across like a white wine. Almost, I don't want to say Chardonnay, because it's not Chardonnay.
No, it doesn't have that buttery thing going on. But
I get a little bit of almost an oaked or a wood-aged note to it. Just a little, and I think it's the tannins from the skins that are giving me that same impression. By the way, French oaked, this would be amazing.
If you have ever drank the nectar of the honeysuckle flower straight from the plant,
Similar.
This reminds me a lot of that.
Yep, there's definitely some of those qualities in it. And that's right, I'm going back for more. This is, I want to change my prediction on the gravity, the final gravity. I don't think it's at 1.020. I think it's a little lower than that. I think it's like a 1014, 1012 range. It's got sweetness, but it's not overpowering sweet.
It has complexity, but not it's not the kind of beverage that you want to intellectualize.
Oh,
because
I want to.
Because it's so nice. It's just like, I'm just going to drink this. And then if you take a moment, you go, there's a lot going on here, but
The flavor combinations that I'm getting are obviously the honey character coming through. I get a little bit of the sweetness of like a white grape juice, not red, white grape juice.
Yeah.
I get a touch of cinnamon, just a little hint, and it could be cinnamon, it could be even a nutmeg. Just there's something there, and I can't quite place it. I do get the citrus, but it's not a strong thing, and it's leaning more towards lemon than orange, which really makes me think it wasn't orange blossom honey, and we're just getting a little bit of a bitterness and acidic note from the grapes.
Yeah.
It's making it feel citrus.
I think it might be a combination of the bitterness that's naturally inherent in fermented honey
It could
plus
be.
the grape
Yeah.
together making a different flavor profile that your brain is trying to figure out.
Yep. Quite possibly. I do get the tannic quality coming through from the skins and seeds of the grape, giving me almost a wood-aged feel.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot, just a little bit. And it's on the exhale most of the time. I'm not, let me see. I wasn't really noticing the honey bitter note that I usually get.
I get a little bit on the very end.
Oh, it's so minor.
Yeah,
it's there. Almost gone, though.
But I think the tannin balance and everything throughout the beverage,
Yeah.
it doesn't stick out. It's not as prominent. So you kind of not really think about it.
This is overall very balanced. For sweetness, tannins, acids, very balanced. It's got a lot of nuance to it. It's fine little flavors that if you're not careful, you miss them. Overall, it tastes a lot like a traditional mead. It really does. Maybe even like a white wine with some honey flavors would be an easy way to describe this. But to me, this tastes very much like a good traditional mead.
And it's funny because I'm trying, now that Brian has mentioned that, I'm trying to remember the Bonrati tasting because it was a white wine that was sweetened with honey.
It tasted nice, but it wasn't mead.
That tasted like white wine sweetened with honey.
This tastes better than
separate.
that.
This is more melded. It's more a unified
If you were to
thing.
take a decent semi-sweet, like a Moscato white wine, and mix it with a traditional mead that was semi-dry, I think that's what this would taste like. But it would have to be a sweet white wine mixed with kind of a semi-dry mead. And I think that's the easiest way to describe the flavors that I'm getting from it.
Yeah, it's that plus though.
Yeah, there's more, but that's a base.
Sure.
So I guess you could make a really easy one. Wouldn't really be a Pyment.
It would be a cocktail.
Yeah, it'd just be a cocktail at that point. A mix of wines. I hate to say it, but this is just really good. I mean, it just is. This is really good. I'm constantly amazed how time changes brews. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember not hating this, but going, it wasn't really what I wanted, and it wasn't all that
The
great.
word that
and
comes
it was
to
okay.
mind is boring.
Yeah, boring and
I remember to
semi-mediocre.
just kind of be like, whatever.
Now, this is good.
Yeah.
This is very
It
good.
is not boring. I would not say this is boring at all anymore.
As far as with food pairings, anywhere you'd have white wine. I mean, realistically, anything you'd have white wine with. This would go great with like a garlic pasta dish.
Yes. And speaking of, soon to be released on the Healthy Living channel will be our artichoke pasta.
Artichoke pasta.
And this would go excellent with that.
Yes, I might even be able to put some in it, but I think we'll drink it with it instead.
But if you enjoy animal-based proteins, I think this would go really nice with any seafood. I think it would go nice with
Chicken,
pork. Not like a mushroom gravy style pork, but a lighter lemony pork thing, or even an apple-y,
more towards the
raisiny
whiter meats.
Right.
Anything that has some acid to it, this would work really well with.
Yep. I think it would even work with like a carbonara to cut
to cut the fattiness. Yeah. The acidity in this would work really nice with that. It goes beautiful with like fruits and I would say cheese. Though I've kind of lost my taste for cheese, so I don't really know. Maybe it wouldn't, but I think it would.
It's reminiscent of something that you would pair with a fruit cheese plate, charcuterie type thing.
Yeah. All those things. As far as cooking, again, anywhere that you would use wine in cooking, this fits the bill. If you need a whitish wine, because it has very much a white wine character with a little bit of fruity notes. Not quite as fruity as a red wine, though, so it doesn't really fit there. It's somewhere in between, though. It's not exactly white. It's not exactly red, but it's closer to a white.
Because it's not the dark, rich, smoky fruit thing. This is more of the light.
Yeah, light and refreshing.
Citrus.
I could see cooking, like just sauteing vegetables with this and making a really light sauce with this and maybe a little lemon juice or something. And it would be amazing on pasta or a rice dish or something. But yeah, overall, really, really good.
Drinking it alone?
Oh, heck
yes,
yeah.
Thank you. May I have some more?
You want some more? Yeah. I may have more too. Because, why not? Whoops. Can't even pour straight. This is the 1 liter bottle. They're larger.
Yeah.
They're weird.
I'm not really a fan of the 1 liters.
No, these aren't my favorite. We're actually looking to do more like 375s, like the smaller size. Because that way it's like a single serving, Just easier to store, transport.
You always need more bottles.
Yeah. Oh, I need to order those.
You do.
Whoops. Supposed to do that. Anyway.
All right. So we've done all our analysis, and now it's time to the number.
I'm not ready for a number yet.
Oh, we got to drink some more. Oh, no. Poor us.
I mean, I sort of am. This can go a couple ways. Now, our scoring system says this. 1 is probably toxic or possibly toxic, and you wouldn't serve it to your worst enemy. 10 is it's the glorification of that style of brew. 5 means it's good. I would reach for it. I would drink it. Okay? It might even be like if there's nothing else in the house, that's what I would drink, but I would still reach for it and still drink it. Now, I may have to alter the way I see a 10 this time. Because is this the shining example of a Pyment? I don't think so. But that doesn't mean it's not very good.
And we're also, once again, at a disadvantage here. I don't think I've found a Pyment.
No, we've never had a commercial Pyment
available.
Yeah.
So
we're going to make one with juice, though, I think.
We're going to do
to have a comparison.
All the things. It's just the list is never
ending. The list is long. And we've added to it recently.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I'm changing my view of the 10 for this particular one. The scores here are kind of on a sliding scale and pliable and flexible. And you can't really compare one score to another in our tastings because we use different judgment systems almost every time. So to me, I'm looking at this as from an enjoyment scale. And we may actually just adopt that instead.
It's like the Pirate's Code. It's more of a guideline.
On an enjoyment scale and quality of the brew, meaning... does it have off notes? Does it have off flavors? Is there youngness to it? Things like that. That might be the best way to do this scoring. Maybe right here and right now we're going to change the rules forever. Or at least for this video. Who knows? So to me, right now, today, a 10 means this is wonderful and I can't think of any way that it could be better. Which makes 10 actually harder to achieve.
Oh!
Because it's no longer just the paragon of
He just likes to mess with me. Really, that's what this is about, is how can we mess with Jerica? We'll give her just enough time to get settled and comfortable on a number, and then we'll throw her for a loop.
That's right, I'm going to have more.
So that he can always
For those keeping score, this is my second refill or my third tasting. And it's starting to get a little cloudy on me, so this will be it for me.
Yeah.
I don't like drinking lease.
Yeah.
Long story. You've heard it.
Yeah. So, if we go from what he's talking about, and then we go to what I normally use to determine if the beverage is worthy of the higher strata or not, it's would I reach for this? And the answer to that is yes, but within a particular set of parameters. There are some beverages that we've made that I will reach for regardless of the parameters. And those, to me, are worthy of the very upper amounts of strata. Where this is, yes, I will look for it in this scenario. And I may look for it above the ones that get the upper strata in this scenario simply because it's better suited for that scenario. If that makes sense.
See, I'm looking at it the same way that I used to judge when I was a judge for professional photographers. I start with a 10, which we used to start with 100 because it was, to 100. I'm going to start with a 10 and then think of all the things that I don't like or that...
to knock it
and then knock it down.
I think that's what they're supposed to do in
And that's probably why...
and stuff.
But I think that's why I give higher scores than you continually.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't go that way. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm more ambiguous.
And that's okay, because it's a score. It's a personal choice. You're allowed. Remember, a 9 to me could be a 2 to you, and vice versa. I'm not ready for a score yet. Getting close, though. I think I'm ready. Are you ready? I know I threw you for a loop with this whole thing. I'm between two numbers, to be honest.
I'm ready.
Let me have one more sip.
For science.
Okay, I'm ready. 1, 2, 3, 8. That doesn't happen very often.
So before Brian changed the algorithm, if you will, I was actually at a 7.5. My initial thought was 8.
I was at a 7.
7.5.
Mm-hmm.
But
I felt this was better than that.
He changed things up, and I'm like, I'm more comfortable now with this new parameters at a solid 8.
Because, and the reason I changed the parameters is this. We go off the premise of, we don't know what's in it. So that's not fair to say, oh, well, is this the shining paragon of that style? Because I like the idea that someone hands you a glass of this and says, here, what do you think? That's a better way to judge. It makes the scores more consistent across the board. So from here out, that's how we're going to do it, I think.
Yeah. And I've changed my drinking regimen. Is that a thing? That sounds really awful.
Me too.
But more often than not, if I'm looking for an alcoholic beverage, it's to pair with a meal to enhance the flavors of the meal.
That's pretty much when I drink.
It's not really so much about the alcohol anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I want to just enjoy a drink, it's normally midday rather than late afternoon because I know it's going to give me plenty of time to rehydrate and I won't feel icky the next day.
Makes sense.
So those go-to beverages like clean blood wine or the cranberry,
gone, I think,
pretty much the mojito kill you.
Yeah, they're all gone. She drank them all.
I drank them all. They're all gone. The 2 bottles that we were sent by 2 warriors.
They're gone.
The blueberry lemon pie, all gone.
Still some Bobby's Boucher.
We've been like holding that sacred. It's right there, but it's just like, okay, just take a little sip and then put it back. But all these things are gone because when I'm like, hey, today would be a good day to have a drink, let's have it after lunch so that way I could enjoy it and not feel crappy. But this, to me, I can think of, and I've already shared with you, a multiple of dishes that are in our current repertoire I would go, hey, where's the Pyment? Because that would be awesome with this, and it would heighten my enjoyment of this meal.
I agree. And
to me, right now, alcohol used in that method, it makes it so much better. It makes the drink better, it makes the meal better, it makes the whole experience better. And that's because of science and alcohol-soluble flavors.
Yeah.
So,
some things only dissolve with alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Some things only dissolve with fat. Some things only dissolve with water. But I gave it an 8 because it's not a 10. And here's why it's not a 10. A 10 to me would mean there is absolutely nothing that is even the slightest bit distasteful or unpleasant. Okay? But a 5 still means it's quite drinkable. This falls squarely in the middle, leaning towards the 10.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because the things that bothered me were there's a little bit of an astringency to it, a little bit too much of a bitter, it's a bitter acidic note is the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah.
That follows from the middle to the end and stays on the exhale.
Yep.
That's just a little too much
Yeah.
to be fully balanced. This is well balanced, but it's not perfectly balanced.
Right. And I
Needs
think
a little bit more sweetness.
I think that particular aspect of this beverage is a unified bias that Brian and I both share with wine in general. Is it doesn't matter how good of a quality of a wine is, if it has that
If it tastes like ass, I don't
bitter
want
stringency,
it.
that we're just kind of
ass,
like,
yeah.
really? But I know that's part of the experience. It's supposed to be there. So
Right.
it's just a thing that we have.
But this one, I just feel it's a little bit too pronounced. And it's just enough too pronounced to be displeasurable to me. And I think to improve that could be a little bit sweeter. But then I'm afraid that might throw other things out of balance and make it off.
Yeah. And
So
I think
it's
something that Brian alluded to earlier might actually be, well, oaking, sure. I mean, we've seen the wonders of
oaking would totally transform this
wood
into
and
like
things,
the best thing
but-
ever. This would be a 12.
also increasing the amount of grape.
Yes, more grape would actually increase tannins to some extent, but it would increase the sweetness at the same time, making that super strong honey note take a little bit more of a back burner position and then bring that fruitiness up. And I think it would balance it a little bit better. So that's why I really want to do another Pyment. And I've been thinking about it ever since we made this one.
We might have to do some serious math, and by we, I of course mean Brian, to push the envelope of how much grape sugars we can add to this where it's still predominantly honey sugars that are being fermented.
Easy. You can do lots.
Yeah, but I think that would change the beverage.
We probably did like 3 or
lot,
4 pounds when we did this last time.
And I think that might be what we need,
Mhm,
but I
absolutely.
won't know until we try it.
Yep. Hey guys, thanks for watching. And if you like this video, look up. There's another one up there. You might like that one too.